Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, they are big, very big. We're visiting an elephant ranch to learn all about the world's largest land animal. An elephant's biggest feature? Their trunk. Our Inspector Planet, Dr. Tracy, will find out more about this unique body part. And
it's very easy to just take off the few millimeters of just the clear nail.
Kitty questions? Ask the vet, answers them, and tells us what you should know in order to have a happy and healthy feline. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. They're some of the largest land mammals in the world. And for centuries, some have been domesticated and used by humans as working animals. An elephant is definitely a sight to see. And recently, we had a chance to get up close to some Asian elephants at a ranch in the middle of Florida. Patty, we're here in this beautiful slice of heaven in Williston, Florida, looking at these marvelous creatures, which for me are magical and romantic, all at the same time. What made you decide this was what you wanted to do in your life's work?
Well, I always tell people that my family's been working with exotic animals for 9 generations. And I just had to go pick the most expensive thing out there to focus on, is basically what I always tell. I've worked with all different types of animals across the board: domestic, exotic, hoofstock, wild animals. Elephants just captured me. It just was the best suit for me. I just felt like I had a perfect match character-wise for them.
What is the emotion of these animals? What is it that attracts us to these animals?
They are very family-oriented. I think that's one purpose. Although the males don't live in a herd, they live solitary. But a herd of elephants is a family unit. There are older adult females that control that family unit. And then there's all the aunts and cousins and sisters, and smaller elephants, male elephants are there. So you have a family group, and they pretty much mimic human families back in the day. Every person in that family has a different level of authority, has a different responsibility, and a different job to do within that family group. And elephants pretty much mimic that. Each elephant in a herd has a specific job, a specific level within that matriarchal society, and a specific responsibility. And I believe that that's one of the reasons that people find them so majestic, other than the size of them.
Of course.
When they walk, they don't make any noise. They can walk by and you don't even know they're there. And that they can be so versatile. They can be so elegant and so gentle when they want to be, and yet they can be so impressive and so destructive when they want to be. And I think that level that they can go back and forth is what people are captivated by, because even though they can do a lot of damage when they're in their moods out in the wild and such, but yet when they have to, they know how to be very gentle and very caring to a certain degree towards each other.
We've got the females over here. We have Luke with those magnificent tusks. What are we talking about weight-wise? How large do they get?
Your average Asian female is 8,000 to 10,000 pounds. Your average Asian male is 14,000 to 18,000 pounds.
Wow.
So my smallest female here is just shy of 8,000 pounds. And Luke obviously is my largest elephant here. He is 16.2 and some change, and he still has some growing to do, so he's not fully matured yet.
I need to ask you, you showed us a beautiful gesture of them holding their trunks and waving. You didn't coerce that.
No. Luke actually started doing that when he was little to get my attention. And so basically when he would start doing it, I'd tell him to wave, and it just became a thing. So now, like, he can be out there, and when he needs something, he's just like, hello. He's just figured out that that's the way he calls me now.
So he's your PhD.
Yes, he is. He is what I call your first child. You know how when you have your first child, you make a lot of mistakes, and as you have more children, you don't make the... Well, he was my first baby elephant. I made a lot of mistakes, and he is spoiled rotten. But I love him anyway.
But he's got you well trained.
Yes, he has me excellently trained.
Do you have young elephants here? And what is the average life expectancy?
The youngest elephant I have here is Luke. He's 33. The oldest elephant I have here is Roxy. She's in her early 60s. Their life expectancy, working animals, is usually 75 to 80 years. Pretty much mimics a human. Right now in their natural habitats, they've been averaging 18 to 25.
Because they're moving targets for a lot of people.
That, and also there's a lot of drought, there's a lot of starvation. There's a lot of animals that die every year from car accidents, train accidents, electrocution, garbage ingestion. There's a lot of things going on in their countries that is also affecting them.
How much do these little gals eat in a day's time?
The average elephant here at the ranch consumes anywhere between 200 to 375 pounds of food per day. And they usually will drink between 100 and 180, 90 gallons, say 200 gallons of water per day.
And what is the normal diet?
We feed 5 different kinds of hays, fresh fruits and vegetables, a mixture of grains, and then here at the ranch we also grow bamboo, elephant grass, banana plants, so they get, and tree clippings, so we give them fresh produce. We also have grazing areas when they can go out and graze in the fields, which is where they were when you all first arrived. But so they get a lot of versatility in their diet. They get bored with the same food all the time.
Now watching them, as you and I have been talking, they take their trunks and they go and they flip the dirt or whatever is in that pile. Why? What are they doing?
There's several reasons why elephants are constantly flinging debris at themselves. There's a lot of areas on their body that they cannot reach with their trunk or their tail. So they fling debris, they actually blow it. Small itches and insects. They instinctively layer debris on their backs. Actually today, Roxy was covered. When it's colder out, it helps protect them against the elements. When it's cooler out, it helps them preserve body heat. And when it's hot out, it'll actually deflect the sun and help keep them cool. Also, elephants don't sweat. So in order to keep their core temperature down, they dig down to cooler sands and blow it on key areas such as their chest, armpits, toes, and behind their ears. And this is how they bring their core temperature down.
We know that the conservation of elephants is getting to be quite a challenge. Perhaps it has been a challenge for a very long time.
It has been.
But it's getting harder. How can we, as individuals, help the cause to keep these beautiful creatures going?
At this point in time, people have to understand how important captive conservation is, because without it, we are losing genetics and capabilities to reintroduce species into their natural habitats. Statistics have come out saying that the elephant will be extinct within the next 5 to 10 years. So captive conservation at this point in time is extremely important for a multitude of species. It's just trying to get people to understand that first and foremost, there's no wild, so we need to take responsibility, and that captive conservation is the way that we're going to help introduce animals into our future generations, so our kids and grandkids can actually enjoy seeing what we're seeing here today. You have to remember that elephants have been used throughout Asia for over 3,000 years. So they're a domestic animal in their native countries, just like dogs are here.
Well, it'd be a little hard to get them into my bed.
Yeah. But yeah, people have been living and working with elephants for thousands of years, and so they are not stressed by being, and I think that any animal that is grown up in an environment, that is its environment. Animals don't know they should do this, they should do that, they shouldn't do this. Animals, if you can meet their needs, are very content. The kindest thing you can do to any animal is treat it for the species it is and not try to humanize it.
Exactly.
I think the more animals are humanized, usually the more problems you have behavior-wise, because humans are very complex, very emotional. Animals are very simplistic, and the energies that humans portray constantly, I think, confuses animals for a lot of the time.
If you had it to do over again, would you do it with the elephant?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Coming up next, Dr. Tracy is looking into the one feature that really sets elephants apart from other animals: their trunks.
Dust off those running shoes and get ready for the 33rd annual Run for the Turtles. The run supports Moat's Sea Turtle Conservation and Research Program, helping us help sea turtles. There will be a 1-mile fun run and 5K race on Siesta Key Public Beach. For the first time, we're offering a virtual fun run that can be run from anywhere in the world. So join us April 6th on Siesta Key Public Beach for the 33rd annual Run for the Turtles.
You can be sure your furry friend continues to be loved and cared for even when you can no longer be there for them. Dante's Den provides a permanent, loving home for dogs whose owners have set up a lifetime care program for their beloved companion. We honor the trust placed in us by providing loving care, spacious dens, on-site veterinary care, and plenty of room to run and play. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES Den. Dante's Den, continuing the love.
Science is everywhere, and it's all around us. It's observing the world, forming questions, and the willingness to find the answers. It's something our Inspector Planet does every day, and you can too.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tracy Finara. I'm an environmental engineer, which means that I use different scientific disciplines to protect the environment, humans, and wildlife. At Moat Marine Laboratory, I use investigation and myth-busting to answer questions. When you look at an elephant, the one thing that stands out is the really long trunks.
Their trunks are responsible first and foremost for breathing. They're also what they use to detect foods. They actually have in the roof of their mouth 2 little glands that are called Jacobson glands, and they can actually run their trunks over different types of vegetation, rub their tongue on that gland, and it'll actually tell them whether it's edible or not. So they don't have to bring everything up to their mouth to be able to tell what it is. They can actually rub their trunks and smell and rub their tongue on that, and it actually tells them. So when you were watching her eat, you could see she was going because she liked the bananas more so than the carrots. So she'll go, and she can't see it, but she can put her trunk on it and rub her tongue, and oh, that's a carrot, that's a banana, that's an apple.
That's amazing. So their sense of smell is so attached to that sense of taste.
Exactly.
So I've seen cartoons my entire life where the elephant is drinking from its nose, using it like a straw, which kind of makes sense. I mean, they're huge and the water's probably low.
Well, basically everything has to come up to the mouth. So water, food, their mouth can't come down to the ground. So they don't actually slurp the water up through their trunks. They actually fill their trunks up and then blow the water down their throats.
You're kidding me.
Yes.
So they do kind of use it like a straw.
Yes, because they can't bring their mouth down to the water. So they actually have to bring the water up. So they basically fill that trunk up full of water, and then they put the trunk in their mouth and they blow that water down their throat.
An elephant can suck up more than 2 gallons of water into their trunk at one time.
I know that we breathe with our mouth and we drink with our mouth. We have 2 different pipes, but
elephants breathe solely through their trunk. They cannot aspirate with their mouth. So basically they breathe solely through their trunk. So their trunk is basically their nose and their top lip all formed into one. And as they got larger, the trunks got longer so that they could actually reach the ground to be able to get food and water and bring it up to the mouth. But they breathe solely through their trunk. They do not breathe through their mouth.
that's really interesting. So how long can they actually hold their breath if they need to get down and get that water and bring it to their mouth?
It's impressive how long they can. Sometimes they'll sit there in front of a water spigot and you think, you're not breathing, but I don't know the exact time on how long they can hold their breath. But elephants have been known in a long time ago in flooded zoos and such. We're talking 50, 60 years ago, where the zoos had been flooded, and the only animals that did survive were the elephants because they could hold their breaths and they could also put their trunks up above their heads to be able to breathe, where a lot of the animals weren't able to do that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
That's really interesting.
There are more muscles in an elephant's trunk than found in the entire human body. It's estimated that an elephant's trunk has more than 40,000 muscles in it, while we have a mere 600. It's a nose, a hand, a straw, a way to communicate, and more. This big muscle is basically the best tool ever.
So remember guys, anyone could be a scientist or an engineer with some passion, hard work, and innate curiosity of how the world works.
Dr. Tracy comes up with some very interesting topics, and we know there are some budding scientists out there watching right now. So we thought we'd answer some of your questions.
Hi, Inspector Planet! Hi, Dr. Tracy. My name is Michelle. Are narwhals real?
Hey Michelle, that is a great question. Narwhals can be considered underwater unicorns, and while unicorns are fantasy, narwhals are in fact a reality. Narwhals are whales that are found in areas of the Arctic Ocean. One thing that stands out with this whale is the huge tusk, which makes it look like a unicorn. While it may look like a horn, it's actually a long tooth. Some narwhal tusks can grow to be 10 feet long. So what do narwhals use that tooth for? Scientists believe that they might have multiple uses for it, like stunning prey, picking through ice, or even using it as a weapon. One thing is for certain, narwhals are real.
Hi, Dr. Tracy. I'm Zoe, and I was wondering what ocean has the most coral reefs?
Hey Zoe, coral reefs are not only beautiful, but they are vital. Coral reefs are one of the most diverse ecosystems that you will find. They're responsible for protecting our coastlines from storms and erosion and giving us some of the one thing we need to survive: air. The largest coral reef is the Barrier Reef in Australia. It's about 1,500 miles long and is comprised of more than 3,000 individual reefs.
Thanks, Inspector Planet!
Up next, Ask the Vet. Dr. Glassman tells us all about what's involved when it comes to caring for our furry felines.
Every dog deserves a lifelong loving home. Dante's Den provides a pristine, comfortable haven for dogs that have been abandoned or surrendered by their owners. We ensure that every pup in our Joyful Dogs adoption program receives lots of love and attention, is properly immunized, spayed or neutered, and is in good health. Prospective pet parents undergo a thorough adoption review to ensure a lifetime of love and care. Find your new furry best friend at Dante's Den. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN. Dante's Den, continuing the love. Dr. Glassman, wellness exams, they are so important for our animals. But what do you look for in a cat?
Well, pretty much the same as we look for in any animal. General health status when they come into the office. Start from usually the head to the tail, looking, general overall. You get the impression a little about the coat. Is it shiny? Is it dry? Is it flaky? Are they heavy? Are they skinny? But in general, we look starting with the eyes. I do anyway, and I look for any sign of inflammation, infection. People can do simple things at home too, like you can pull up the eyelids and look if there's any redness. Obviously, if there's real discharge, there's usually an issue. People don't usually check their teeth and their gums, but hard to see maybe, but if you pull the lips back, she's got a fair amount of tartar and just a tiny bit of gum disease, a redness of the gums, periodontal disease. So you could probably do with a dental cleaning now. How old is Roger supposed to be?
We think about 5.
Okay. Yeah, most pets start really needing cleanings early in life, 2, 3, 4 years of age. Actually, veterinary dentists, board-certified dentists, will tell you every single pet should have a cleaning twice a year.
Oh my.
Not too many people do that, but that's just like us, should be cleaned twice a year. So most pets certainly should have a cleaning every couple years in general. So if the eyes are clear, the gums are nice and pink. Actually, cats are kind of a pale pink. And dogs are kind of a brighter pink, but cats are a pale pink. If they're not pink at all, they could be anemic, and that would be a serious issue. Checking the ears, looking for any discharge, any crusts, any odor, and feeling lymph nodes. You can feel for lumps and bumps. Owners should always do that in general is, when you pet your pets, give them a little massage all over. And if you feel any unusual lumps or bumps, that can be an issue. We're going to do a segment specifically on lumps and bumps. But, you shouldn't feel anything in general. Should be nice and smooth, but roll them over. Make sure there's no signs of any fur conditions, hair loss, rashes, scabs, crusts. I brought a couple of instruments for cats. If people want to trim nails, I love this type of clipper. It's called a Whites, is actually the technical name, but it opens and closes sideways, and it's very easy to just take off the few millimeters of just the clear nail. Of course, just like us, you don't go back all the way to the pink, otherwise you'll hit where the blood vessel and the nerve is, and it would hurt and it would bleed. But if you have a good cat, it's actually pretty easy just to maybe every couple weeks take the tips off. And I really like these clippers the best. So just getting them used to, touching all over. And the ears too is good. I tell people maybe put a couple drops of baby oil or mineral oil and just a cotton ball and go in and wipe what you can. There may not be much, but it teaches them that it doesn't hurt. So that if you want to, clean ears later in life, or if you have a real ear infection, then it does hurt, and it'll be better. They'll sit better for it, hopefully. And this is a little flea comb I like for cats, especially if they're short-haired. Very fine flea comb, and you can get that pretty much in any pet store, and it's really good to brush. Oops, stay, Raja, stay.
And
you can get lots and lots of dead hair off very easily. So I like that.
And what temperature should they be at to be healthy?
Normal temperature is actually 101 to 102, 102 and a half at the high end. Okay. But that's what they're higher. Cats and dogs are pretty much the same, higher than us.
Okay. And if you find them lower, for example, 99 point something.
Well, it can be a sign of illness. High fever or low temperature can be a sign of illness too. Sure. Quickly, I want to talk about nutrition. Something that if you don't really, even veterinarians, some of them don't know, more recent information is cats really should eat canned food more than dry food, because they're obligate carnivores in nature. They eat mice and birds and things like that. Our bodies are pretty much all protein and fat. We have 2% sugar in our body. A mouse is 2% sugar approximately. Dry foods, unfortunately, because they have to be baked like a cookie, they add flour. Dry foods, most all dry foods are approximately 50% sugar. So actually dry food, 50% sugar versus a mouse, 2% sugar, that's no good. Most cats will get obese. And I went to a lecture from a professor who's a board-certified internist who does research on diabetes in cats. She's at one of the vet schools. She's the first person I ever heard about 15 years ago said no cat should eat dry food because of the high sugar content. And the sugar also feeds the bacteria, which causes periodontal disease. So cats actually healthier, much healthier in the long run if they'll eat most canned foods and not dry foods. And an average meal for an average 10 to 12 pound cat, you might be 13, hopefully not 14, but an average 10, 12 cat indoors, it's not going outside and getting lots of exercise, needs just 2 meals a day. A 3-ounce can is about 1 meal. So an average cat, if you fed all canned food, would be a 3-ounce in the morning, a 3-ounce in the evening. Now, if you want to feed dry food, I tell people at least make 1 meal canned, and a 1/4 cup of dry food is about a meal. So the calorie content is about equal.
Now, we give them water,
Of course.
milk.
You can give little bits of all kinds of things, tiny bit of sour cream, ice cream, milk, but if they're not used to it, their intestines aren't used to it, they might get vomiting or diarrhea. So you have to introduce small amounts of different things like that, no matter what it is, or you might upset their stomach.
Well, Raja, I think you passed. What do you think?
Yeah, you passed for today. You need your teeth done. Okay.
Stay with us. There's more Animal Outtakes coming up. Animal Outtakes is produced by Dante's Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Dante's Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dantesden.org. We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. We'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching.
That's kind of funny.
Oh yes, get that. That is awesome. He's itching.
Somehow she makes it look much better. Graceful.